The first thing I noticed wasn't her face. It was the way she wore the clothes. The fabric, plain, human-made cotton, hung on her like it didn't quite understand her shape. The sleeves stopped just short of her wrists, as if her arms were subtly longer than they should be. The collar sat awkwardly against her neck, not because it didn't fit, but because her posture seemed too perfect, too deliberate. I should have walked away right then, but I didn't. I was working late at the atmospheric relay station on the edge of Sector 9, one of those forgotten outposts where the sky always glowed faintly blue from the ion shields. Nobody came here unless they had a reason, and she didn't look like she belonged to any reason I could imagine. She stood just outside the perimeter fence, watching me, not waving, not calling out, just watching. I stepped out of the maintenance bay, wiping grease off my hands. You lost. She tilted her head slightly. The motion was smooth, too smooth, like a perfectly rendered animation. I am not lost, she said. Her voice was clear, calm, but each word carried a faint delay, like it had been translated a fraction of a second too late. I frowned. Then what are you doing out here? This zone's restricted. I know. Then. She stepped forward. The perimeter alarm didn't trigger. I froze. That's not possible, I muttered. She crossed the invisible boundary like it didn't exist, her bare feet silent against the gravel. Up close, I could see more details, and none of them made sense. Her skin was flawless. Not smooth in a human way, but uniformly perfect, like it had never experienced friction, heat, or time. Her eyes were the worst part, not because they were strange, but because they weren't. They were perfectly human, and that terrified me. I came to speak with you, she said. Why me? She studied my face carefully, as if mapping it. You are alone. That wasn't comforting. That's not an answer. It is sufficient. I took a step back. Look, I don't know who or what you are, but you shouldn't be here. I learned your customs, she continued, ignoring me. Human interaction protocols, clothing norms, language structures. She looked down at her outfit, a simple shirt and pants I could have sworn weren't there a moment ago. I believe I am prepared. For what? Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, something shifted in her expression. Something uncertain. Then she asked, Do you desire me? My brain shut down. What? Do you desire me? She repeated, her voice steady, analytical. Is my form acceptable? I stared at her, trying to process what I'd just heard. That's not something you just ask someone. Why not? Because it's complicated. I prefer clarity. I ran a hand through my hair. Okay, first of all, I don't even know what you are. She considered that. Then, without warning, she reached up and touched her neck. The skin rippled. Not metaphorically. Actually rippled. Like liquid trying to remember it was solid. I stumbled back. Stop. Don't. What are you doing? This is not my original form, she said calmly. This is a replication based on human visual preferences. Her voice didn't change, but her body did. For a brief second, I saw something beneath the surface, something not bound by bones or muscles. Something fluid, shifting, endless. Then it stopped. She looked human again. Exactly human. I couldn't breathe. You're not, I whispered. No. Silence stretched between us. The hum of the relay towers filled the air. Finally, I managed. Why are you here? She stepped closer. I was sent to understand your species. By who? That concept does not translate directly. Try. She paused. Then, by those who observe. Great. That cleared everything up. And your mission is to what? Walk up to random guys and ask if they desire you. It is a critical variable. I blinked. What is? Connection. I stared at her. You think desire equals connection? It is one of your primary motivators, she said. Your media, your communications, your behaviors, they frequently orbit around it. I let out a short, disbelieving laugh. Yeah, well, you're not wrong. But it's not that simple. Then explain. I hesitated. Because how do you explain something humans barely understand themselves? It's not just physical, I said slowly. It's emotional, psychological. It's about who someone is, not just how they look. She tilted her head again. I can adjust my form, she said, to match your preferences. That's not the point. Then what is? I met her gaze. You can't just become something and expect it to mean anything. She was quiet. For the first time, she didn't have an immediate response. Meaning, she said eventually, is a learned construct. Exactly. Then teach me. Something about the way she said it, calm, direct, almost vulnerable, made my chest tighten. I don't think I'm qualified for that. You are present, she replied. That is sufficient. I shook my head. You don't get it. Humans don't just teach connection. It happens over time. Through experience. I can simulate time. That's not the same. Why? Because it's not real. Her eyes flickered. And for the first time, I saw something unmistakable. Confusion. We spent the next few hours talking. Or at least trying to. She asked questions, endless, precise, unsettlingly direct questions. What defines trust? Why do humans fear loss? Why do you hesitate when answering me? I did my best to answer, but every explanation felt inadequate, because she wasn't just listening. She was analyzing, dissecting, learning at a speed that made me feel like I was standing still. At some point, she sat down beside me on the metal platform overlooking the energy fields. She mimicked my posture perfectly. Too perfectly. You are uncomfortable, she observed. Can you blame me? No, that surprised me. You understand that? I am beginning to. I glanced at her. So, what happens when your observers get what they want? She didn't answer immediately. Then, they will decide whether your species is compatible. With what? Coexistence. A chill ran down my spine. And if we're not? She looked at the horizon. The glowing sky reflected in her eyes. I do not have access to that outcome. That's not reassuring. I understand. We sat in silence again. Then she turned to me. May I try again? Try what? Her expression didn't change, but something about her presence did. It was subtler now, less calculated, more uncertain. Do you desire me? I exhaled slowly. You're still stuck on that, huh? It is unresolved. I studied her, really studied her. Not the perfect symmetry, not the flawless skin, but the way she was trying, the way she was learning. It's not about desire, I said gently. Then what is it about? I hesitated. Then I said the only thing that felt true. It's about whether I see you as real. Her eyes locked onto mine. And, do you? I swallowed. I don't know yet. She nodded slowly. That is acceptable. The next day, she was still there. And the next. She didn't leave. Didn't sleep. Didn't eat. She just stayed. Watching. Learning. Asking. But something changed. Her questions became less clinical. More curious. She stopped trying to mimic perfectly. Started making small mistakes. Her posture relaxed. Her voice softened. And sometimes, just sometimes, she would pause before speaking, as if considering not just the correct response but the right one. Days turned into a week. Then 2. And somewhere along the way, I stopped being afraid. Not completely, but enough. One evening, as the artificial sunset painted the sky in deep violet hues, she sat beside me again. You have changed, she said. So have you. In what way? I smiled faintly. You don't ask as many questions. I have learned that not all questions require immediate answers. Yeah, I said. That's a big one. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I have another question. I laughed. Of course you do. She turned to face me fully. Her expression was different now. Not perfect, not calculated, but something else. Something closer to human. Do you desire me? I shook my head, smiling. You're never gonna let that go, are you? It remains significant. I looked at her, at everything she had become in such a short time, and I realized something. The question wasn't the same anymore. Before, it had been clinical. Now, it felt personal. I took a deep breath. Then I answered, yes. Her eyes widened just slightly. Explain. I chuckled. Of course you'd ask that. Please. I leaned back, looking up at the artificial stars. It's not just how you look, I said. It's you. The way you think. The way you're trying to understand something that even we don't fully get. She listened intently. It's messy, I continued. Complicated. Illogical. But that's what makes it real. And I am real? I turned to her, met her gaze. Yes, I said quietly. You are. She didn't respond immediately, but something shifted in her expression. Something subtle, something genuine. Ending the transmission came 3 days later. I didn't hear it, but she did. I knew the moment it happened. She froze, completely still, her eyes unfocused, as if looking at something far beyond this world. Is that them? I asked. She didn't answer. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Finally, she moved again. They have reached a conclusion, she said. My chest tightened. And she looked at me. And for the first time since I met her, she hesitated. They have determined that your species is unpredictable. Yeah, I said dryly. We get that a lot. They do not consider that a flaw. I blinked. What? They consider it valuable. Hope flickered in my chest. So, what does that mean? It means they will not interfere. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. That's good, right? Yes. Silence fell between us, but it felt different now, lighter. Then I noticed something. You said they won't interfere, I said slowly. What about you? She looked at me, and for the first time, she didn't have an immediate answer. I was not given instructions beyond the evaluation, she said. So, you're free? I believe so. I smiled. Welcome to being human, I said. She tilted her head slightly. Is this what it means? Part of it. She considered that. Then she asked one last time, Do you desire me? I laughed softly. Yeah, I said. I do. She nodded. And this time, she didn't ask for an explanation. She simply sat beside me, looking out at the endless sky. Not observing, not analyzing, just being. And for the first time since she arrived, she felt real. And somehow, so did everything else.